There's something about going off to a faraway land or even just signing up for the prospect of possibly going off to a faraway land to fight enemies in faraway places that is special, and it takes a very certain brave breed.
Last night, Grant, I'm at an event for a friend of mine. I'm back in Maryland, as you can see by the hotel room in the background. And I had a really touching moment. I mean, I got a little choked up. A guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, Dan, you may not know me, but I used to live in your neighborhood. I used to live in Severna Park." And he said, "But you know my son." And I'll be honest with you, Grant, I was confused. I didn't recognize him, and I didn't know what he was really talking about. It was really loud at the event we were at. And he said to me, "You know that story you tell all the time about my son?" He goes, "Yeah, that's my son." And I'm starting to think in my head, and I go, "Oh my gosh." And I immediately broke down. Here's the story. There's a park in the neighborhood I used to live in, a community park. And we had a soldier there, a young kid who was killed in Iraq rather heroically. So they put up a little garden in his memory. And every time I used to go there with my daughter, I would see that garden. And I remember thinking in my head, always, like, we have to keep in mind, this kid will never, ever know the experience of having his own kids, of having his first payday at his job, of getting that promotion. Grant, it's all gone. And I met the dad last night, and when it finally struck me that I'm not going to, obviously not going to give his name, he didn't give me permission to say it, but when I said, "You're his father," I immediately got choked up, because I've told this story 1,000 times about the unbelievable sacrifice, not just the soldier made, Grant, but his family. The guy, he couldn't hold back his tears. He said, "I just want to thank you for telling my son's story." I said, "Thank me. I want to thank you. I'm not worthy of anything. It's you're the one who sacrificed. These people and these families are amazing."
You know, what strikes me is when you tell that story is that, sadly, Dan, you go across this country, there's thousands of those little gardens, there's thousands of those little plaques, there's thousands of trees planted in the name and honor of somebody who gave their life for our freedom. That story you tell could be told 1,000 times over for somebody else that isn't going to get to see their own child grow up or have a grandchild from the dad, as you said, to experience what that is like. And it's heart-wrenching.
I mean, Grant, think about even the little wonders. I mean, we could talk about the big things. They'll never experience the joy of kids or a wedding. But the little wonders, like the laughs you and I have before the set, I mean, it's gone. Like, everything you were going to have ever had is all gone. And, I think back to my family. My uncle, Greg Ambrose, who's on that wall, got a Bronze Star with a V cluster. I think the third highest medal or so you can get in the military. Shot in the back south of Ho Chi Minh City, trying to rescue some of his friends. My family was never the same, Grant. My family was pre-Greg and post-Greg. Mm-hmm. When he was supposed to come home, 2 soldiers showed up instead to my family's bar and said he's never coming back. And you know what? My family was never the same, and you're right. It's those little gardens and those families around the country that on a day like today, we should all stop for just a moment and reflect on everything they've done for us. My grandfather, who was, hit Utah Beach and was involved in the Battle of the Bulge. We live in the greatest, most prosperous, freest country on earth, thanks to the men and women who do that for no money and almost no glory at all. And they deserve a minute of our respect at a minimum today.